Actress Laura Dern is known for her iconic roles in Little Women, Jurassic Park, Big Little Lies, and of course Marriage Story, which won her an Oscar. And now she's taking on a new role as an advisor to the American Lung Association, raising awareness of its vape-free schools initiative to stop the spread of vaping. Earlier today, our Linsey Davis spoke with Laura Dern along with Dr. Christy Sadramelli, a pediatric pulmonologist.
So, Laura, it's my understanding that you were personally touched within your family by lung cancer. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yes. When I was 6, my grandfather got a diagnosis, and I watched him go through a horrific time, needless to say, and he passed away from lung cancer. And I remember then how terrifying and deadly misinformation was, that he was having a coughing attack. And I remember him lighting up a cigarette and me asking him if he thought that was safe for him. Even in my 6-year-old brain, it didn't make sense. And he said the doctor had said that if he was coughing, that maybe the cigarette would help clear his lungs. Mm. And that has stayed with me my whole life, wanting to, and thanks to the help of the American Lung Association, wanting to participate in any way I can in service of messaging and education around lung health.
And what made you decide, I'm going to become an ambassador? I'm so dedicated to this cause.
It was a combination, both from my childhood experiences, as well as my mother was very dear friends with the amazing Valerie Harper. And I worked alongside her when American Lung Association launched their Lung Force initiative. And she was so extraordinary in the fact that she wanted to be of such service, even while she was battling her own disease, and ultimately passed away. And then shortly around the same time, I was privileged to play the author Cheryl Strayed's real mother in the film Wild, based on her incredible journey on the Pacific Crest Trail to heal her grief from losing her mother, who I played, to lung cancer.
And what can you tell me about the Vape-Free School initiative?
It was me learning that the American Lung Association was doing this, and my own vulnerability as a parent of teens who felt I didn't know enough and had been told it was safer than smoking cigarettes by many adult friends, and starting to hear in the culture of my children's community that they felt that was the safe alternative, that I asked them, can I please learn from you and help spread awareness? And then when I learned that they were not only creating this amazing initiative, that, very quickly, with everyone's support and donations, can help impact immediately over 1,000 schools for a back to school initiative, that instead of just giving schools and our educators and ourselves a punitive response to an addiction, being nicotine, that they've been fed through advertisers in their own social media that we've all given them, that perhaps we can actually arm them with education and even a cessation program.
You mentioned that you have 2 teenage children, 19-year-old son, 16-year-old daughter. Being around them and talking to them, have they described that there is this peer pressure and that it's a really popular thing to vape or smoke cigarettes?
Well, 1,000,000%. And they all have spent 1.5 years on Zoom in their rooms, isolated. And they all know they're going back to school after the highest rise in, teen and young adult anxiety and depression that we've seen historically. And so now they're going to re-enter school in a space that already, for all of us, as we know, can create social anxiety and need to have approval with peer groups and managing stress.
Dr. Sadramelli, I do want to bring you in on that, because I was actually under the expectation, at least, that teens were thinking that the vaping was less dangerous than actual cigarettes, but that's not the case, it sounds like.
Yeah, and it's sort of a fool's errand to compare, because what we're talking about, what Laura was alluding to, is tons of kids addicted to nicotine. The reason people are switching from vaping to traditional cigarettes is because they're already hooked on nicotine. And there's way more teens using nicotine because of the vaping trend, which is like super widespread. You know, we have over 8,000 kids in this country starting to vape every day, and it translates to over 3.5 million who are currently vaping. It's a lot. And, you know, it's not just which one's worse. We know that vaping is harmful to the lungs. And we know that a whole generation and big numbers of kids are getting hooked on nicotine very quickly. So it's all harmful. And the best thing to do would be to prevent all of it, and then to help the teens who already are vaping or hooked on any type of nicotine, help them stop. And there's a whole skill set for that. So that's one thing I like about this program. It provides training and like ways to help, not just talk about why it's bad.
You were mentioning some of the statistics. I thought that it was shocking to know 73% increase over the past 4 years. 1 in 5 teenagers now vaping. How young do you find that the kids are starting? That you know, for a parent like me, a 7-year-old son, I'm thinking I don't need to at all get into that messaging. But at what point should parents really think about sitting down and having those conversations?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. We definitely see, you know, this starting in the middle school age range. I think a good target age is like before they've probably tried it. So like 10. I know that might sound young, like 5th grade, but it's a good time to start talking about it. And we do recommend, you know, we're catching up to this trend. There's so many people vaping. We're trying to prevent, you know, not have these massive numbers of the kids who are now entering 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, getting hooked on it. And we also want to help the kids who are already hooked on it, who are mostly a little bit older.
And so part of this initiative is about educating educators about how to have these conversations and talk to students to dissuade them. What do you say? What should be the words? Because I guess it's not enough, especially as a parent or teacher, to say, that's bad, don't do that.
Right. Well, you know, I did want to say too, and I want to acknowledge, you know, I'm a mom, I'm a pediatrician, and I'm a lung specialist. So I totally understand that, as Laura said, this is a really hard time for our young people, and it's a great time to talk about it. But this program is also about cessation, the techniques and the strategies for cessation, sometimes involving nicotine replacement, you know, behavioral strategies, things like that. That's partly what we're trying to give to the schools.
And not to forget that we are in a lung vulnerable pandemic. This is the most terrifying time that any of us could consider an addiction to nicotine and smoking. So it's really, really concerning. And I think if we work together, it could be very exciting.
And Laura, before we go, if we can, I know Jurassic World Dominion, the 3rd part of the series, is coming out next June. Any kind of little hints that you might be able to give, any little nugget about what we might be able to expect?
Well, spoiler alert, there will be dinosaurs.
Oh, wow.
And there will be dinosaurs no one has ever seen.
Ladies, I thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you talking with me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for spreading the message.
Linsey Davis, always willing to ask the tough questions.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.